Hello there, fish tankers. Sponge filters, we all know them. You basically get two different kinds. You get this one that sits on the bottom like this little nano sponge filter, and then you get these that are sort of stuck on the glass of these suction cups that always fall down, basically doing the same thing, pulling water via an airlift through a sponge. But we also have some multimedia sponge filters that takes more than one kind of media. Air-driven filters. I've reviewed one, the Antopy sponge filter. I'll leave a link here. And there's a new one that I found in a shop while I was doing a store tour. I always buy something, at the least I can do some sort of a review of it. And this is the Sobo SB-533, and it's a multimedia sponge filter. We're going to do a bit of an unboxing and a review, see how it works and see if it's something worth looking at. If that's something that interests you, stick around. Okay, so let's see, let's open the box. What's in the box? It's a season to be jolly and you may be opening a lot of boxes. Here's an uplift tube and here is the whole shebang. Now you can see it's made of rather sturdy plastic. It's got a weight here at the bottom like most sponge filters do. Then there's this uplift tube, and you can see what I like here. There's an air stone fitted there in the middle, and this goes in like that. So that's your uplift tube. It doesn't really extend, it doesn't go in this way, so it forms an airlift like that. So you have a very short uplift tube. You don't have an option of extending it. It's not a train smash, but the longer your uplift tubes usually are, the better flow, the more convection, if that is the right word, you get. So let's see if we can open this. And it's in a hard plastic casing, and you can see there are slits at the bottom, at the top, where the water goes in. This comes off the weight, and then here at the bottom there's also slits where it goes in from the bottom and the top. There's a sponge in here. We see here's a plastic container of some of these bio beads, these bead-like biomedia. Now we have to open the thing. Let's see. Okay, it opens well enough. All right, and now it goes like that. So we can see here is the bottom base, and here is some biomedia, and there's also an air stone, and it seems like it can fit a standard air stone. Okay, this is one thing that I do like, because we don't have aquarium co-op sponge filters here in South Africa, so there's always quite a bit of DIY and cutting involved if you want to fit them with an air stone. So here's no DIY, you have an air stone. The air stone is replaceable. So let's take that out for now. Well, let's put this here in my lap. And here you have some sponge. Okay, and it's just, this is not the smallest. This is the second to smallest. You see it's a ring of sponge. That's for your mechanical filtration. Now, all media eventually turns biological. In a normal sponge filter, you just have a sponge. And a sponge does a mechanical filtration very so-so. It's not going to give you a crystal clear water where fish seem like they're flying. And when you just wash them in old tank water, and that way you keep a beneficial bacteria. So the sponge usually benefits as both mechanical, or doubles as both mechanical and biological filtration. But here you have this little thingy. I'm going to put this here in my lap as well. And now, yeah, to get this out, in all fairness, you're not going to have to get it out a lot, because you know, you don't really replace biomedia. If it gets clogged, like it will, yeah, then you just sort of shake it and you wash it under the tap. And if I want to open this, it's sort of a bit like the Antopy sponge filter. It's a bit finicky. Okay, there we go. I've opened it. And I don't know if you guys can see, I don't want it all running out here. It's this fine ceramic beads. So that's supposed to be your biomedia sitting right here in this little container. And then you just line it up again with the tabs and you press it closed. You need reader glasses for that. Okay, so that closes this container again where these bio beads sit, and then that, you see, goes back on the plate. the more things you have, the more finicky it will always become, but it's manageable, it's not too bad. And then you just add the casing back on, and you've got the weight at the bottom. Right, so this is your sponge filter with the bio beads. Similar to the Antopy sponge filter, where you also have, but you can, there it doesn't come with a media, you can put in biomedia of your choice, and then you have a sponge on top. Similar to your Quanvi, that also has containers for the biomedia in, but not similar in the sense that it's all contained within this plastic casing. So let's go and see what it looks like in the tank when we connect the air pump to it, and then I'll continue sharing my thoughts. So there we go. This is what it looks like in the aquarium. There is sitting in my 75 gallon. Obviously it's not nearly enough for a tank that size, and it's quite deep, and I've got a small Sobo AC/DC air pump on it, which gives off about 3 liters per minute. So I would suggest get a slightly bigger air pump than that if it's not a small tank, but in all fairness, it has to pump air down very deep. And there you see it's working with a air stone there. So the air stone, I think, is a very nice thing. It doesn't float, it sinks well, so works more or less like any old sponge filter would work. And of course it is here in the casing, there you can see. So it pulls water in from the top and from the bottom through the biomedia and the sponge. Works at the exact same principle as all the other multimedia sponge filters, and it sits, I like the fact that it sits on the bottom, so you don't have these with suckers that keep getting loose. And yes, there it goes, nothing much more to show than that. Okay, fish tanker, so what are my conclusions with this sponge filter? It's priced at 115 bucks in South African rand, of course. And so it's more expensive, obviously, than your normal little sponge filter, but it's not an expensive thing, really. And you have these two different media containers. Let's start with the good things. It sits on the bottom, it doesn't float, and it takes in water through the slits at the top and the bottom. So we've got that. Now, the other pro maybe is, we know with sponge filters, when you clean them and you just pick them out of a tank, they drop a lot of the gunk just back into the tank. That's why we use a plastic bag usually to cover it underwater and lift it out like that. And here I hazard to guess, I'll have to see what it's like when it's dirty, because it's got this casing and you pick it up, unless it's going to throw straight through the biomedia and out here at the bottom, I think at least it won't be such a problem. You'll be able to just pick it out and take it out of the aquarium without stuff falling back. So that could also be an advantage. Now in the end, I don't know how much stock I put into this biomedia and sponge together, because to me, if something works, I rarely change it. That's just the way I am. Now, the sponges and all your other sponge filters, I just have normal sponge filters in my tank, and I only have them because they're connected to battery backup air pumps and because of the power failures we have here. But any filter in the end is going to work, providing that it is powerful and big enough for your tank, and that you don't throw away all the media at once or wash it under the hot tap or do something stupid like that. If you just preserve your beneficial bacteria on the media that you have, any filter, providing it has a capacity, will work. So here I would say, if you want that peace of mind of double media, okay, the casing can be good for lifting it out of the water. What I do not like about the filter, now let's go back to the casing, because the pro is that in all probability you're not going to have a lot of gunk falling back, and you won't need to enclose it in a plastic bag underwater and lift it out. That hack that Corey from Aquarium Co-op does, that we all do with sponge filters. But, so that's a pro of a casing. But the negative, I think, we use sponge filters in a lot of our shrimp tanks because it's just safe for baby shrimp and fry. But now you've got this little enclosed casing. So you're going to have fry and maybe even baby shrimp getting in through these slits and getting trapped inside the filter. That's the one drawback. And the other drawback is, you know, these sponge filters, they attract uneaten bits of food, also biofilm and all that, and especially for you shrimp keepers, they like to pick on the sponges. as do baby fry as well. So for me, I would rather have at least the sponge bit out exposed in the water rather than encased, because it's just a space where things can get trapped if you have nano fish or fry, like fish breeding in my tank and so on, spontaneously. So I don't really like this casing, and I don't like the fact that the uplift is so short that you can't extend it. That's also something that I don't like. And as I took it out of an aquarium just now and I opened it to just dry it off a little bit, open popped this biomedia holder, and the floor was strewn with these white little ceramic beads. The finickiness, I like simplicity in design. I don't like the finickiness. So in conclusion, it has some pros, but it's not for me. I'm probably going to give it away to somebody who wants it. It's just too finicky. And number two, I like to have a sponge exposed to the aquarium itself, not encased, so that things can pick of it. So if I am going to go for a multimedia sponge filter, if I wanted an air stone, if I really needed that, the Antopy has got a built-in diffuser, then I would rather go for the Antopy. It's a little less finicky than this, and the sponges are exposed in the water. Or I would just go for the Quanvi if you don't mind the big bubbles, because that one you can't fit with an air stone. So if I'm going to go multimedia sponge filter, I would rather go for the Quanvi or even the Antopy. This is just, to me, a little bit too finicky. It's somewhere between a box filter and a sponge filter, and it's not to my taste. That's my conclusion, guys. If you like this content, you want to see more of these product reviews, please hit that thumbs up. I will greatly appreciate it. And please, in the comment section, let me know whether you've used these filters and what your experiences were. Please share the content among your fishy groups. And remember to subscribe as well. And until I see you guys again, keep taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.